Hello guys, my name is Wale Farah. I'm a tech entrepreneur and you're watching Tech Roundup, your weekly opinion, views and analysis of the top tech events happening around the world with a focus on Nigeria. This week, Nigerian government offers 30,000 naira grant to commercial drivers. Nigerian startup are set to benefit from a $50 million foreign investment. To review the stories this week will be my colleague Jenny, who will be discussing with Muyiwa Matuluko, the publisher and editor-in-chief of Techpoint Africa. Don't forget the number of the week, which is at the end of the show. The show is packed. Let's get started. The personal assistant to President Buhari on new media on Sunday announced that the FG has commenced the distribution of 30,000 naira grant to Uber and Bolt drivers and other operators of commercial vehicles, including taxis, buses, motorcycles, tricycles, and cart pushers across the country. At this point, it's a commonly agreed upon phenomenon that small businesses are the backbone of any economy. The support and empowerment of small business owners should be second nature in all economies around the world, especially a budding one like Nigeria, where mom and pop style establishments are the most popular of all businesses. The biggest question here is, why is the government doing this now? What happened at the peak of the pandemic when that money could have saved so many families and so many individuals? Evidently, the government is making effort to keep to the promise of giving out grants to those who have been most affected by the 2020 economic downturn from the coronavirus pandemic. However, the idea of handing cash out to those select few will somehow solve that handing out cash to the select few will somehow solve the optimum economic crisis that Nigerians currently feel is a big mistake. When it comes to empowering these motorists and commercial drivers, what really can 30,000 naira do? That money will probably go into fixing up vehicles that have deteriorated through the poor road network, as an example. In place of handing out cash, some may argue that to empower this group would mean doing more like income incentive, like no fees paid to aggregators, zero fees on digital payment over a period of time, and tax break where applicable. And as for the cart pushers, the FG should consider creating a sustainable model of cleaning the environment, possibly a nationwide Loma initiative, technology-driven if you must. This way, this group can be gainfully employed and taking up the unreliability of an anticipated daily wage. These are only a few suggestions that the government may want to consider if empowering these people and rebuilding the economy is truly the focus here. Then again, this may only be the first step in a much more elaborate plan to empower all those in this category of workers.
The first story we have here, the federal government has started giving out 30,000 naira grants to commercial drivers, including Uber and Bolt drivers, motorcycle, that's Okada drivers, cart pushers, bus drivers, and the lots of them. But some would think of it as pretty impressive, right? That's a lot of people that they need to serve. But I'm just thinking to myself that why now? Why is it so important for the government to do this or to give out these grants when the pandemic has dwindled a little bit? At the peak of it, when people were in the lockdown and people needed the funds or needed whatever funds they could get their hands on, they didn't think to do that. So why is it so important that they do this right now?
So I think it's a matter of maybe bureaucracy or slow access to the funds, because I believe this is part of the economic sustainability plan, which was announced about as early as June 2020. So like kind of 2 or 3 months into the pandemic. So perhaps the funds came in late or they're based on delays and all of that. But I think the more important question to ask is, why is it? Because I understand it's a one-time grant.
Yeah.
So what is a 30,000 naira one-time grant going to achieve for these SMEs and all these businesses that they're trying to help? And secondly, how will it be paid? I'm beginning to understand, okay, we are going to pay through microfinance banks and then digital lenders and all of that. But it's not very clear how this will be achieved and then be effective. So yeah, those are the two questions in my own head more.
But I think I saw
enough.
I saw somewhere that they already started giving out the grants to like 59,000 people, if I'm not mistaken. Or is that false? 59,000 artisans.
There's no way to verify that right now. So we just have to take government. So there's no way to verify it.
So our next story. Dr. Issa Pantimi disclosed last week while speaking in Dubai after unveiling of the Nigerian's pavilion at the 2020 40th Gulf Information Technology Exhibition, GITEX. The federal government announced that foreign investment of about $50 million is already attracted into the economy for the support of various startups in the country through digital economy and innovation policy. The GITEX is the biggest annual consumer computer and electronic trade show, exhibition and conference in the Middle East and East Africa. And if Nigerian innovators are expected to showcase their solutions this time next year, then the government will need to adopt transparency in how they intend to support these new startups with the said investment. Now the lack of funds may no longer be the limiting factor. The execution of all of the initiative and plan by the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy of Nigeria can now come alive. There will be need for a structured plan of how and to what effect this money will be dispersed. Some include the following. 1. Startup selection to benefit from the investment. That is, how will the government select those who will benefit? How about monitoring and mentorship to guarantee the right level of execution, and market access and unlocking immediate opportunities? Jenny and Muyiwa will discuss more on this in the next segment.
We have Issa Pantemi, who is the Minister of Comms and Digital Economy. He announced recently that Nigerian startups were attracting about $50 million in foreign investments, right? And he kept on emphasizing on the fact that our startup community have been so innovative and they're growing, and he's so proud of all the work that has been done. But I mean, given our past history and everything that's happened in the past with investments and that's just being misused and all that, I feel like the real achievement would only be seen if this investment is being utilized responsibly. So I think my question for you would be, do you have any suggestions on how the government can properly or evenly distribute this investment to the rightful people that deserve the money?
Okay, first things first. I saw the article and it seems to be a very arbitrary figure. There's no explanation for how they came about the 50 million, or which specific startups. It sounds to me like it was a very arbitrary figure, like, we're expecting startups to attract $50 million through policies that the National Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy has brought forward. Very arbitrary figure, to be honest. And yeah, for some years now, as far as I remember, as far back as 2015 or 16, of course, the ministry and departments under it, like NIDA, have been taking startups to that GITEX that was mentioned in the article. But I'm not sure that's necessarily the role of government. The role of government is to create an enabling environment, right, so that these startups can thrive, whether it's the policies that are created around that. So kudos to government, for example, with the new KAMA laws that allow startups to claim some tax incentives and all of that.
Our number of the week is 41.5 million. In Nigeria, there are over 41.5 million micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises that operate in the country, according to a survey conducted by the National Bureau of Statistics and the SME Development Agency of Nigeria in 2018. Have a great week, guys, and see you all again next week. Goodbye.